Joining us at our weekly meetings, weekly events where we bring guest speakers on campus. How are you doing today? Tell us about yourself.
I'm doing great. It has been a hot week. I usually prefer the rain over the sun, so it's not a good weather for me. It's good that it cooled down a little bit today. But yeah, overall, it has been awesome.
Can you please introduce yourself to the audience who have never seen you before and just tell us about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hey everyone, my name is Sid. I currently work as a software engineer at Microsoft. And I'll take deep into like the team and the specific project that I work on. I graduated from UC Irvine in December of 2018 after doing computer science as a major and a minor in entrepreneurship and management. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Can you tell us more? How did you land your job at Microsoft?
Oh yeah, my story to land the job at Microsoft is very unique. It's essentially a lot of cold calling, cold emailing, and cold messaging. I reached out to some folks on LinkedIn after I read an article which spoke about a project at Microsoft, and I just reached out to people at random, and I was like, "Hey, I'm interested to like learn more about this project. If you have any opportunities, would love to like learn more." And one of them replied back and he set up some interviews for me. And yeah, that like today, like that guy is like my manager's manager. So it's a different story for me to land at Microsoft.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So
Yeah.
like you think it looks like you did a lot more than usually students do, which is usually how the path goes is just make a resume, apply. And for you, it was a much harder process where you had to go through different things, cold calling, research, different things. And I think it's a really empowering advice to people watching that to actually do the research, do the necessary things you need to do if you want to really land the job that you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like networking has been like a main focus for me that I felt like that can easily land you jobs at big companies. A lot of my friends, they knew people who knew people, and that's how they landed jobs. Um, that's how it works today.
Okay, but let's go into some hot stuff, as we can say that. Let's talk about blockchain. Why blockchain? Why not anything else?
Yeah, so I actually interned in my second year at a bank, and that was like 2017 before the crypto boom happened. And one of the projects that our manager gave us was like, hey, do something in blockchain, build a prototype. And like there were six of us. We started digging into like what blockchain is, like what's like the advantage of using this. What are some of the things that are out there right now? Like what can you like do? The more we dug into like the technology, the more and more appealing it became. It looks like it can solve a lot of real world problems by making it more transparent for everybody. And that's one of the main reasons I started looking into it a bit more. I finished that internship. We did like a proof of concept with like a loan-based collateral system. And I came back to my school or my university, and I started like thinking like, hey, what can I do to like get more into blockchain? Um, and I didn't find anything as such, and hence I started my own club called as Blockchain at UCI, which deals more with blockchain and blockchain education, and making sure everybody else like who wants to like learn more about blockchain has the resources to learn about it. So that's how I started my journey into blockchain. But essentially, one of the main reasons was I see like it having a lot of impact in the future, and yeah, that excited me.
And how does it work especially? Because it's like all over the news, blockchain, blockchain, crypto, NFT, blockchain, blockchain, blockchain. But for people who just don't know that or have just started to get interested in it, what is blockchain and how does it work?
Yeah, awesome question. So this is one of the analogies that that somebody told me when I was starting out. and I heard at a conference was, let's take an example of like a Google Doc. You have a Google Doc that you share a link to 10 people. Now all of them have the same exact copy online, and then any changes that you make are visible to everybody else. Like they can see your history, like what you're doing, and like those kinds of things. So it's more transparent, more auditable. So if you do anything, if you make a mistake, then I can go back and see like, hey, who edited this document at what point? And I'll be like, hey, like Nima like did the edit at this point. So I can talk to him like why you made that edit. So think of that as an analogy and like put that into a database. So think about blockchain as a distributed ledger technology. That's what it is called, like DLD, or a distributed database, essentially. Now, the power comes where the same data gets replicated across different people, or across different people who are like hosting a node of the chain, and that enables the transparency and the auditability purposes. So if you make a transaction, it will be there on the chain across everybody. And let's say Nada is trying to like force a transaction which is not correct and which is not accurate. And that same transaction does not exist on everybody else's instance. That means like, hey, she's trying to like do something illegal, and we can easily identify people. So it's very less tamperable. So it's like tamper proof. That's what it's called. Uh, and those three or four key features is what makes blockchain unique.
So from what you have told me, what comes in my mind is just kind of, so if I were to summarize it in two words, the probably two words that come to me are transparency and security.
Yep,
Would you
exactly.
agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Awesome. But so, okay, it's secure, it's transparent, but why does it have so much value today? Why is this sort of technology, like, it's different from it was before, but why everybody's betting on it right now? Why do everybody thinks this revolution?
Yeah, so think about like how the current world works. Everything is centralized. Like there is one bank who handles all your transactions. You don't get to see like what's happening behind the scenes. Most of the things that happen in today's world happen behind closed doors. You are just interfacing like on the user side. You have no idea what's happening. So if you, let's say you make a transaction using a Chase card, you don't know like how much does Chase earn of the transaction. Like let's say you make a purchase at a Burger King. You paid $10. How much does actually Chase earn out of the transaction? You don't know like those specifics. And that's where like blockchain can come in and make a big impact, where everything is transparent to the end user. When I make the transaction on a chain, I can see like what's happening with my money, how is it flowing throughout the system. I can trace it, which gives me a lot of power.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And like, you have been focusing a lot on transactional side, and cryptocurrency is a huge thing right now. And a lot of people see it as the, well, some people see it as the future of the financial sector. Some people think that it's like how to say, overthrow the financial system that we have right now. Others don't believe. People are more conservative, less conservative. What is your stand on cryptocurrency and how does it work?
Yeah, so to talk more first about cryptocurrency is essentially the token which runs any blockchain. So there can be different types of blockchain based on like how the underlying technology is written. But let's take Ethereum for example. So we have Ethereum as a blockchain, and the token which is needed to make any transactions or to support anything on the chain is called Ether. So it's essentially like as USD, I'm just comparing it to USD. To do anything in the real world, you need USD or any kind of like fiat currency. Same thing is applies to the chain. To interact with the chain, to do anything with the chain, you need like some kind of token or some kind of value. to make sure like, hey, something like I can do something. So that's what cryptocurrency is. Coming to my stand, so in the last 3-4 years that I've been involved in the blockchain space, initially I used to think that, hey, I love the technology. I never dug deep into like the crypto side. I was always like a bit afraid about the volatility of like how the prices like fluctuated like so much. And like the 2017 crypto boom happened, and I was like, wow, like that's crazy. Like I was reading about this like 6 months ago, and like it just like skyrocketed. So that kind of like I was a bit skeptical because of that whole reason. Um, and now in the last like about 1 year, I've been like reading a bit more about it. So as of now, like my stand is like I don't know where it's going. It could be a thing of the future. It could not be. It could all go to like zero. We have no idea. But as of now, I still have a little bit of confidence that there could be some cryptos that could still be there for the future.
So like it looks like the uncertainty is not only transmitted by you, but actually a lot of people who are into the topic, they're uncertain where is going, where the market is going, where the technology is going. Mm-hmm. And like with all this uncertainty, how do you identify which cryptocurrency, which blockchain under cryptocurrency is good and which is trash? How to identify that?
Oh yeah, so all that depends on like the white papers that these guys release. So every blockchain or every cryptocurrency that you're releasing should have like a solid research done. It should bring something unique to the market, like some value that doesn't exist, which would help like the ecosystem of the chain. I look for those things. I am not a huge crypto trader at all. I just have like conservative cryptocurrencies. I've been reading a bit more about it and like getting into it, but it's just very risky for me personally. And like I'm not a huge trader like by the day. But there are some folks, and these are the recommendations that I usually get. Read more about the white papers that these projects release. See the smart contracts, understand the smart contracts, make sure there is no backdoors or no vulnerabilities in the smart contract where like someday the team can essentially just like remove all the money and like run with it. Like those kinds of things are very critical for you to like understand before you make any investments. So I would really focus on like understanding like the technology first, and then understanding the tech and making sure like the smart contracts behind the currency are like correct and everything is good before you invest into it.
Okay, and like you said that you're not a super crypto trader right now, which is probably a safer thing to do. Just looking at what happened last week.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Bitcoin went really down from 60,000 all the way to 30, 37 or something. So, but still, you probably heard, and I'm more than sure that you know about Bitcoin and you know about Ethereum, two major coins right now. Can you discuss the differences and which one do you like more from your experience?
Yeah, so definitely. So as I was mentioning earlier, like there could be like different kinds of blockchains out there in the world. Like even you can like spin up like your own blockchain and like have it out in the world. It essentially comes down to like what value are you bringing with the chain. So with Bitcoin, it was just a chain that was released as a store of value, where like it's a cryptocurrency, but there's nothing else that you can do with it. It's essentially a store of value. And then the consensus algorithm is what is also another thing that kind of like differentiates blockchains. So with Bitcoin, it is called proof of work. Essentially means you need to like do a lot of computation for any of the transactions to validate any of these transactions that come through. So that essentially means proof of work. Now, another consensus algorithm that Ethereum is going to be migrating to next year is called proof of stake. So proof of stake essentially means how much of your stake is on the chain, and then more stake you have, more percentage of the transaction fees you would be getting in the future. As of now, even Ethereum is on proof of work, but they've slowly started to migrate to proof of stake, and that should be completed by by next year. That's what they say. As of now, my main yeah, my favorite coin would be Ethereum, just because of all the applications that we can build on top of it. One of the awesome things that Ethereum brings to the table is smart contracts, where you could write code which can be executable by the blockchain. So it's essentially, think of smart contracts as if and else conditions. You tell the chain that, hey, if this has been reached, if this condition achieves, then do this or do this. This is just an easy example. But this will always be on the chain, and nobody can tamper with it. Like once it's out there. So, and it will always execute. Like if you've written the smart contract correctly, it will execute correctly. So I feel like that brings a lot of value, and a lot of the projects that are being built right now are on top of Ethereum because of this reason. Now, there are some downsides about Ethereum in the current market, just because of how many transactions that we've been getting. The transaction fees goes up like higher and higher. And that's one of the downsides that I've been seeing. And a lot of the other blockchains have started to come out, like Ethereum and blockchain were the top ones, but now slowly you'll see like a lot of the other chains that are coming out.
Do you think that some blockchains that you were talking about can surpass Ethereum because they have similar technology but a cheaper price, maybe?
It's gonna be something that they have to build, which would like have more value than Ethereum. Right now, like a lot of projects are on Ethereum, and I don't see Ethereum going out of like commission at any point. Like it will always be, in my opinion, like one of the biggest chains, just because all the transactions in today's world have to like go through Ethereum. Like even if you have your own chain, to get any tokens or get any of your USD tokens on the other chain, it goes through Ethereum and then bridges over to the other chain. It's very difficult to like achieve like bypassing Ethereum, just because a lot of the biggest projects are on Ethereum right now.
Okay, thank you. It sounds complicated, but it's actually exciting, personally, for me, in my opinion. And also, just a genuine question about the smart contracts. Can they be broken? Can they be changed once the contract is stated?
Yeah, so it's a concept called as upgradability of smart contracts, and this is something that we are also actively working right now at work, where we have deployed some smart contracts, but we want to like add more features on top of it, and like not lose the current state of the smart contract. So how do we do that? It's called upgradability of smart contracts, where we essentially copy over the current state from the old contract to the new contract, and then the new contract gets deployed with like more features on top of it. So it is possible, but the old contract can never be changed. Like it will always be there.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And
Yeah.
also, what you mentioned the projects and work that you do. Can you tell us more? Is it a secret? Can you talk about that? The projects that you do?
Yeah, for sure. I will also talk about it. I'll also send a link to the project. I have the link here. But okay, so all of you know like what Xbox is, and like any of these gaming systems. Just copy it in the chat. So Xbox is a video game platform by Microsoft. Let's say you would like to buy a game on the Xbox platform. You pay, let's say, $100. And now the game developer who actually developed the game has a contract with Microsoft, which says, hey, if you sell my game on your platform, you get to keep $30 out of the $100 and pay me $70 back. So that's called royalties, or in short, like it's called commission as well. So the royalties is essentially like my team. We developed this whole system behind the scenes, which actually calculates the number of the amount that we have to pay the partner, and we actually deal with the payments to the partner. So in today's world, our current system, or before in the last year, our current system was a centralized legacy platform where all the transactions came from Microsoft, did the calculation, and we paid out to the partner. The partner did not have any transparency into like what's actually happening behind the scenes. How does the partner know, like, are we paying them correctly? Are we not paying them correctly? Like there is no way for them to like know. unless they do like an audit check against us. So this is where blockchain comes in. Now we have all these transactions coming onto a public, not to a public blockchain, but to a private blockchain, where the partners can also see the transactions that are coming in, and they can understand like, hey, I got this transaction from Nima, and Nima paid like $100 to Microsoft. We did the calculation on smart contracts. There is no manual intervention required. Everything is handled by smart contracts. And then in the end, Microsoft is paying me $70, who I am the game developer, and keeps $30 with themselves. So all this is transparent. It's auditable because at any point I can go back and figure out like, hey, what happened to these transactions, this value, this one. So everything is there as like history.
Wow, that's great. And what about this project? What objectives does Microsoft have? Like, I can see the objective of making it transparent, so it could be both comfortable for Microsoft, where the process is automated and visible for everybody, and it's also valuable for the game developers because they finally can see through. And but is it the only objective? Are there any other objectives of this project?
Yeah, definitely. So as I was mentioning, like usually if partners have any issues with our payments, then they can make audit checks against Microsoft, and that requires like a lot of power, a lot of manpower from Microsoft, because they have to show like, hey, in these last 2 months, you got so many transactions. We actually paid you this, this, this. This was the calculation that happened. It's just like a lot of manual power that goes behind the scenes, which can be easily solved by using a blockchain. Another awesome feature that the blockchain provides, and this is what we call is the chain effect. So let's say I am Microsoft and you're a game developer. Let's say I'm just taking an example because I know you and Nada. So let's say Nima is a game developer, and you are releasing a game on Microsoft. So if we have a contract, let's say you get $70 of every $100. Now let's say Nada was one of your designers, and she has her own company, and you actually hired her company to design some game stuff for your game. Now you have a contract with her which says for every transaction or for every game that gets sold and how much ever money I get, I'll give you 10% of it. So now you can have a smart contract with her on the chain, and she will be able to see a transaction happen on Xbox, and I paid you $70, and now you have to pay 10% of that to Nada. So she gets $7 in the end, and this whole trace is available on the chain. This is what we call as the chain effect, where it can get exponential because let's say Nada has 10 other people below her that she has to pay. So everybody can see the transaction originated from this point, goes all the way, like how much money is getting transferred across the different partners in between, and then how much are they getting paid at the end. So this transparency is very, very crucial.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that. And I also want to touch the topic of NFTs and non-fungible tokens, also a huge thing right now. Very volatile, very famous right now. Everybody's talking about it. So can you explain what is an NFT, what does it stand for, and how does it work?
Yeah, for sure. So as of now, in today's world, on the Ethereum side, there are two different kinds of tokens. One is there are different, many more kinds of tokens, but as a stock, mainly there are two that people interact with. One is called ERC20, and then the other one is called ERC721. ERC20 token kind of relates to like currency. So if you have one of token A, I have one of token A, and if it's a ERC20 token, even though if we trade it, the value is going to be same. It's like $1 to $1, the value is same. Now with ERC721 or non-fungible tokens, that's what it is called. NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. The value is not same. So let's say you have token A and I have token B. The value of token A is different than value of token B. So the trade, if we do a trade, it's not going to be like 1:1 if those are two different assets. That's essentially in the core what an NFT is, or what ERC721 token represents. The token value is not same as any other token value if it's like a bit different. Hopefully that makes sense.
It's a little complicated, but it does make sense.
So
maybe it will work clear for people if you can give some examples of how it can be used.
Yeah, let's take an example. So let's say I'll go into the whole hype. I'll say like you are an artist and you have an artwork. You're an awesome artist, and I'm just starting out. Like I have no experience. Now I create something, I draw something, and I create an NFT out of it, and I'll be like, hey, this is my NFT. And Nima, who's a mastermind, who is a master artist, creates this masterpiece, and he creates an NFT out of it. Now, if I go to you tomorrow and be like, hey, can you trade your artwork to my artwork? You're not gonna do it because your artwork is valued much more than mine, even though they are the same token. Like it is one token at the end. Yours is also a token, mine is also a token, but the value that it represents is different. So there is no equal comparison between two tokens. Even though it is one token to one token, the value is not the same. And that's where like it's a bit different than ERC20, where you had $1, I had $1. If I trade, it's fine. It's not gonna hurt us. But if I trade this artwork, I get a masterpiece, and like you are selling it or you're trading it at a loss. So that's an example. If you have any questions, just stop me in the middle. Any of you, I'll explain a bit more.
Basically, so basically, if we take this example, the art is the art. It's a token. So we have a drawing, you have a drawing, I have a drawing. It's the same thing. But the difference is that I drew Mona Lisa and you drew a little house with a sun.
Exactly.
When we try to do a transaction, my obviously will be worth much more than yours.
Exactly.
And what Ethereum also allows to capture is the value of particular tokens can be larger than the value of others, and can identify that. Right?
So actually, the token or the value is not stored at the Ethereum level. Your artwork determines, like if you want to like sell your artwork, you can sell it at a certain price. There is nothing that is on the chain which can figure out like what's the value of this artwork, because the chain does not store the artwork on the chain. Like the JPEG file that you uploaded does not stay on the chain. It's stored somewhere in a decentralized storage, but like the chain does not like know like how much your artwork is valued for. It's you, the artist, who will value the artwork and then sell it.
Okay, so once it's on the blockchain, once it's on the chain, it becomes the matter not of the chain to determine the value, but the supply and demand, basically, of how much you have them and what is the demand for the particular artwork, let's say.
Exactly, you got it right now. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Can you tell us about some? So we talk about art, and we probably all heard about digital art that has had also a lot of controversies of where people more controversial, more conservative background will say, well, I can just take a picture. And younger people will see and actually make, not, sorry, it's a little incorrect to say younger people, but people who believe in technology, they can actually see the value in that. And some of them even make huge fortunes on that. So where is the controversy in your opinion, and on which side are you?
Oh yeah, I was actually on the conservative side as well. Like 6 months ago, I was like, hey, like I can just download that picture and I can sell it by my own. That's essentially copying of the artwork. But so think about like a Mona Lisa as well. Like that's only one and the only one in the world. I can make an exact copy, like a photo, and I can still sell it. The authenticity comes from like where it is actually being sold and like where it is being tracked. So like the creator of any artwork, let's say Van Gogh, if he creates an artwork, he can authenticate it, like he's selling it, and then the record stays on the real world. Like that's the actual masterpiece, and then there is no counterfeit which is being sold anywhere else. It's similar to NFTs, where let's say tomorrow, like let's say an artist, like let's take example. Do I take an example? Let's say like some electronic music who comes and like plays like some DJ set. He creates an artwork on as an NFT and he sells it. That trace shows that hey, it was being sold from, let's say, Marshmallow. Marshmallow sold this for like 1 ETH to this user, then this user sold it to like this user, and so on. That trace, I can still see it. Even if you download that same song and you create it and you create it as an NFT, it will be shown that hey, you created this, like Nima created it. it's not authentic. Like it's like it doesn't matter. Like that's how like you can actually value NFTs based on like who is actually creating it. That's like my opinion. Like I was totally on the other side. I was like, hey, like what's the point of this NFT? Like I can take a picture, I can upload it, like it doesn't matter. But then slowly I started to like realize like it matters based on like who actually owned it. Like a baseball card, which is worth like $1 million in today's world, uh, like that has value because let's say it has some sign on it. Let's say Michael Jordan signed basketball card. Uh, like that's one and the only one which would be of that kind. Similarly, NFTs uh, would play like a similar role in the future.
Okay, so from what you say, just to kind of like, from how I understood it, so by just putting some sort of art, or let's say it's art, on the chain and getting and making it as a non-fungible tokens, just by doing that, you're already creating two things that can increase the value of the thing that you do. Let's say it's a product.
Mm-hmm.
First is the scarcity. So you limit the supply of the amount of they have, which already gives them value because there can only be so many signed baseball cards. And like if you get it first, you'll be, let's say, there will be only 20 people who owns that, and it also increase value because of the short supply and supply and demand relationship. And the other thing is authenticity. Also, the person who does it, if you believe in the person, if you support the person, gives the authenticity that gets transferred into the art, and also brings its value up if you consider this person valuable to yourself. Is it the right thing to think about them?
Yeah, exactly. You got the supply demand part to the nail, and then the authenticity part as well. So it can also mean like, let's say, even if it was not originated by like a famous person, let's say you created it, but somehow along the way it got sold to Mark Cuban. Now the value increased for that artwork like a lot because Mark Cuban held it and then he sold it. That also increases the value. So it's just like a prominent actor or a prominent person has any interest in it, increases the value of it. Like that's my opinion as of today, and that's why I see NFT being like a bit more of like a digital baseball card.
So would you say it also applies as one of the main benefits of the technology being transparent, that you can see who actually owns that and when it was sold or for how much, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
That's great. And can you share? Do you see any other applications of NFTs except for digital art?
Oh yeah, there's ton of them. There's like a lot of projects out there in today's world as well, which would use NFTs for, let's say, gaming. I know like this game called as Gods Unchained, which have assets as NFTs on the chain. So you could essentially create a asset or in-game product and then still sell it to the outside world for like some certain value. More unique the product is, the more unique the artwork is. Not artwork, but any of the in-game products. Then you can still sell it for like a higher price. You could trade like in-game assets with like other players as well. So that's one of the other applications that I see of NFT. Think about NFTs also as another example, just to throw out, is converting physical assets into digital assets. Let's say I have a huge house overlooking Lake Washington, uh, and then that house, if I want to like get investors for, I can create like 1,000 pieces of that house, and then I can sell like one part of the house to different people, and they essentially have a store or like they're an investor in that house. That's also another possibility.
Well, it looks the future looks very exciting. That's what I can say. It's going to be very interesting to watch this grow. But we
Definitely.
talk a lot about benefits, but probably for people who would like to get into the art, get into the NFTs, cryptocurrency, blockchain, whatever it is, it's also important to know the pushbacks. So what are some pushbacks from the NFTs that you can see right now?
So again, like I see like NFTs, like the volume of NFTs that are being transacted. I don't know if you guys know like the CryptoKitties. That is one of the most prominent NFTs that released like 3, 4 years ago. Um, And when they released, there was so much of demand for them, it just clogged the whole of Ethereum chain. Like the transactions were stopped, like they were at like a standstill. The transaction fees went up like really high. So that's one downside where everybody's trying to like transact with NFTs. The network will also get like a bit more clogged and the transaction fees would go higher. Um, Also, from the point of like environmental point of view, anything which is proof of work requires a lot of computation, like for Bitcoin or for like the current Ethereum chain. Uh, and that requires like a lot of energy usage. So I still feel like that's like a downside for like mining transactions or for like doing anything. Like it's gonna be like it just depends. Like if users are willing to like do that for the future.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And what about, so for people who are excited about the technology, who are excited about NFT, crypto, and blockchain, how would you recommend them to interact with it if they want to, for example, invest in it? So, how would you recommend investing in NFT, crypto, and blockchain? How can they do that?
Yeah, again, goes back to my initial point. Like, it's a very, very risky market. It fluctuates a lot. So, like, you should definitely not put all your savings into like this. Make sure, like, whatever you're putting in, like, think about like that amount that you're putting in as the amount that you'll always lose. That's how I always think. Let's say I'm putting in $100. I don't need that $100, and even if it goes to like zero, I'm fine with it. Like that's how I think about like investing in this whole space as of now. And again, to figure out like which project to invest in, you need to do like a ton of research. You need to like read about the white paper. You need to understand the smart contracts. You need to figure out the team behind it. Like, hey, is the team good? Is the team anonymous? If the team is anonymous, at any point, like nobody can trace them, and essentially they can just like if they have any vulnerabilities in smart contracts, they can remove all your money and run with it. Like nobody would be able to like go after them. So those are some of the things that I would keep in mind before investing. Crypto NFTs is like a very very new industry. So I would say like definitely think about investing and like read a bit more before you do anything.
Thank you. It's actually very important to just do the risk research and understand what not only your gains, but also the risk that you're entering into. Thank you so much for this advice.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to make an NFT. What should I do and how can I do that?
Yeah, so as of now, there's like a lot of systems or platforms that enable like very easy to like interact with NFTs and create your own NFTs. There's a couple of marketplaces out there. One is called OpenSea, another one is called Rarible that I've interacted with a lot. You essentially go to OpenSea or to Rarible, and then you upload any JPEG files, PNG files, MP3, MP4, anything, any of those media files, and that would essentially store your assets, store your artwork in a decentralized storage, and then create a hash of that asset on the chain, and then you price it. Like you'd be like, hey, I want to sell this for 0.5 ETH, and then you essentially list it for auction or for each just like list it. You need the demand behind it for it to actually get sold because there are millions of people who are doing this on a daily basis who are creating NFTs, but unless you don't have the the demand behind it, like it's not going to get sold. So interacting and creating NFTs is very easy. The buying and the demand is going to be the difficult part.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. And can you share, like, have you ever created NFTs? Can you share some stories if you have about the projects that you have made in the past on the chain?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually just, as I was saying, I don't remember when we spoke. I think it was like Jan or Feb when we spoke. When I was like working on like this side project for NFTs, just like as a fun project, and we created NFTs for Doge. Like Dogecoin is another cryptocurrency. We just created like a bunch of characters for Doge, and then we sold, and then we created NFTs out of it. Uh, that was one of the projects that I did, where we interacted with OpenSea and Rarible, where we minted those assets on the chain and then we listed them. And at that point, like Dojo was very, very like competitive, and like people wanted like more of the unique Dojos, so people paid for it. So yeah, that was one of the projects that I did.
How successful it was?
I would say like we had about 70 dojos that we created. Our initial plan was to create 200. We only got to about 70 because like the hype slowly died down. We still have like a lot of unsold NFTs, so we pretty much sold, I would say, 40 NFTs, 40 dojos, and like we sold them at like a cost of 1 ETH, and like the more unique ones sold for like a bit more as well. So yeah.
Did you have a smart contract underneath it? Because I know people, like for example, the NFT that I know and that I was looking after and I want to buy but I didn't have enough money was the V Friends by Gary Vaynerchuk. And
Yeah.
he created a V Friends, basically authentic characters that he drew himself and have a certain characteristic, like let's say empathetic panda or something like this. And he creates cards to different rarities and stuff like this, but all of them had a smart contract which provided value to people, which is he organizes, as he says, he will organize the VCon. He wants to organize the biggest entrepreneurship conference that has ever been and make it for 3 years. And everybody who owns the NFT, it's the admission ticket. There is no other way to get there. That's one of the cons. Plus, different NFTs had other underlying benefits for them. For example, FaceTime with him or play some games with him personally. So did your NFT have any smart contract? Oh, and plus another thing for him that was that with every resale of the NFT, he gets a 10% royalty. So did your NFT has anything like that?
Yeah, so we did have royalties as well. Any resale gives us 10% of the royalties. And this was something that we didn't have to code. Even the characteristics, we did have characteristics for each of our dojos. And OpenSea made it very easy. Initially, we were thinking of writing smart contracts to like do this. But when we interacted with the platform, they make all this very easy. You essentially go and type in like what characteristics you want, how much royalties like you would get after every resale. So they have abstracted out like everything for you. You don't need to worry about smart contracts. You just interact with your platform and you essentially sell them. Like they always take like a point something fee to list it on their marketplace. But that's one easy way to do it and not interact with like smart contracts.
That's great. That's great. I'm still a little bit pissed that I didn't buy Be Friends because like I was looking for a particular one. It's called the Gift Goat, and basically it also has an admission, but it also has under the contract that 6 times a year I will receive a personal present from Gary Vaynerchuk, and it's my icon. Like I watch him every day. Like that's how much I love him. I can pray for him. I'm kidding. But like it was initial price, he made it as a Dutch auction, which is basically an auction, but it goes different directions. So he states a price and then it goes down if nobody buys. And basically stated a price of 3 Ethereum for majority of the NFTs he released. And I didn't have the time and money to buy that at 3 Ethereum. But then I look up on OpenSea those gift goats, and I see ones that, and right now the prices last time I checked started at 10 Ethereum for each, and all the way to 55 Ethereum for one. And a majority of them, there is only 8 of them, I think. And there was only there's 20 of them. And there was only 4, all of them are sold out. Only 4 of them are on OpenSea, or like 6, and others are not even selling. It's like, the market is super hot. But
yeah. It's crazy out there. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have 10 more minutes left, so I would love to open the space for the audience questions. Guys, please feel free to raise your hand and unmute yourself if you have questions. Another option, you can just put your question into the chat and we will read it out loud for you. So please take this time, ask the questions.
I have a question. So can you tell us more specifically the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Yeah, I think I touched a bit about like the chains. It essentially also means the token which runs the chain. So Bitcoin is a different chain which as a proof of work consensus algorithm. And on the Ethereum side, it is a proof of work as of now, but it's going to get migrated to proof of stake. So it's a different kind of consensus algorithm. And Ether is the currency which runs Ethereum. So those are the two tokens on like two different chains. And like that essentially is needed to like make any interactions with the chain. Ethereum also gives you an added value of writing smart contracts and like putting executable code on the chain directly, which Bitcoin is like not a place for as of now.
Thank you very much for answering my question.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you, Nada, for asking this question. Guys, please feel free to unmute, ask the questions. I know we have some people who has just joined. It's the great time to ask questions if you had any specific questions. Anybody? Mateo, Ramon, Quinn, Kay, Mingjen, anybody? If you will not do this, I will do that. And you will have to look at me just selflessly asking questions and getting the answers that I need. And, and getting all this value to myself. So please ask the questions. Okay.
Neva, I think the floor is yours.
Okay, good. What do you think makes a good NFT? Like, we know that it's easy to make, it has value from the scarcity, from the authenticity, from transparency. But what really makes a good NFT that's worth your investment right now, in your opinion?
Man, it's a very difficult answer because there is no correct answer because nobody has seen like what's gonna happen. Like this is like a huge hype right now. We don't know what's gonna happen. Like, is it gonna go up? Is it gonna go down? Most likely, it might go down for some time and then pick it up again. But the main thing that you should like look for is the value that it creates. Like, is there any value for the NFT that you're buying? And is there something which is guaranteeing that value? So there are some NFTs out there right now which would unlock some physical assets as well. So if I buy an NFT, which in turn has like on the backend side or like in the smart contracts, like a physical T-shirt being shipped to you, like that is a bit more value than just buying an NFT, which is like digital without anything. So like those kinds of things, you need to like think about. But like I have no answers as of now. Like it's like a brand new space, and I don't want to like comment on anything wrong while I talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for answering. I have some more follow-up questions to that, but we have a question in the chat. So Ramon asks, how can we value cryptocurrency? Is it mainly based on speculation?
So again, goes back to what value is the chain bringing. So there are different kinds of blockchains, different kinds of currencies out there. So one of the examples I'll just take, like Uniswap. I don't know if you guys have heard about Uniswap, but it is a decentralized exchange on Ethereum, which allows you to transfer and convert cryptocurrencies with cryptocurrencies. So if you have ETH and if you want to convert it to, let's say, a different currency, then having the Uniswap, like if you do it on Uniswap, that gives more and more value to Uniswap. So the Uniswap token would go higher and higher if their system gets used more often by people. So that's one of the examples I can give you. Another thing to like think about from the crypto point of view is like the white paper, as I was mentioning. Like it is very very essential and very very crucial for you to like understand like, hey, like what is the future of this project, what are they trying to achieve, and also do they have any audits in place, are these smart contracts looking good, is there any issues with the smart contracts? If there are, then that's like a red flag for you. You should not invest in something which can easily be like pulled out at any point.
Thank you for answering this question. Also, follow up to your response. I have a question about the Unisoft coin.
Uniswap. Yeah.
this token. So you saying that there is a token that basically allows you to convert your currency into another. For example, if I have some satoshis from Bitcoin, Uniswap, yeah, from the satoshis that I have into, for say, the same value but on Ethereum, I can do that and at the same time avoid the capital gains tax this way. So because I don't have to sell it and then buy it for the money. Does it work something like this?
No, wait. Say that example again. I didn't understand the middle part. You said GameStop.
No.
Sorry.
No. I said, so for example, if I have some Bitcoin, but I want to convert it into Ethereum.
Uh-huh.
So what I do is I use Uniswap and I do that.
Yep.
But so it looks like by doing that, I avoid the process of selling Bitcoins first and then buying for this money the Ethereum. And so if I avoid the sale of the Bitcoin, I also avoid the taxes related to that.
No. So at any point, so like the whole taxation stuff, I have no idea, and I'm not a financial advisor. But from what I know, at any point you make a swap and like a change of currency happens or a change of token happens, you are taxed at that point based on like what value it was. So like you'll still be taxed, but it essentially enables you to buy currencies from different chains. So let's say there is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not available on Ethereum chain directly, but there is a concept called as wrapped Bitcoin, which essentially means one Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain can also mean one Bitcoin or one wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum chain. And you can swap your ETH for a wrapped Bitcoin, and then you can do whatever you want to like do with the wrapped Bitcoin. So that's one of the concepts where like swaps and like exchanges are coming into play, where you can interact with like other assets from different chains. Hopefully that answers. I don't know.
Yeah, that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay.
From my initial understanding, it sounded pretty OP, like overpowered. It's like just some tax transaction or transactional taxes.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that for me. I almost became illegal here, so thank you.
For sure.
Any other questions? We have 3 minutes left for questions.
So what would be the steps for like an enterprise or business to integrate like Bitcoin, for example?
Yeah, good question. So you guys knew like what happened with Tesla. Tesla's like, hey, we'll accept Bitcoin as a payment. And then Elon said like, hey, it's not conservative at all. Like we are stopping the payments. So it just depends on the company, but accepting Bitcoin as a payment is easy to do. Like it doesn't need anything. It just depends on the company and like the shareholders if they agree to it. Um, like if they want to like accept cryptocurrency as a payment, like that's totally fine. But to integrate it fully in the system, it's a bit more tricky because like a lot of regulations have not even like been built out yet. Like we don't know how are we going to get taxed on like anything that we interact with if you have to like buy something. And let's say tomorrow the price of like Bitcoin goes down, like you paid $10 for it, and now essentially paid $1 for it. So is your selling price $1 or is it $10? Like those kinds of things. We have no idea about like how the regulations will come into play in the US. So yeah, it's very speculative market right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any final questions? We have 2 minutes. It's just one question. One question and we're done here.
If anybody's interested, I think Nima, you are. If you guys want to like dig deep into blockchain, I would say dig deep into the technology side of things, understand how smart contracts work, like understand like how to do it, and also look into decentralized finance. That's a very hot topic right now, where we say we'll essentially migrate over any of all these centralized transactions that happen, like with banks and stuff, into decentralized, where nobody holds it, nobody owns it. People own it. People are the ones who actually like do stuff. Is the banking sector still safe or a reliable place for investors? Can you clarify like banking sector? Do you mean like private banks or like public banks? Like I think so. Why would you invest in a bank? It would be my question. For like the interest rate, like the stocks don't move too much. Like it is safe, I think, but like depends on like what you want out of it. I didn't understand the question properly. Like, what are you trying to invest? Oh, shares from Bank of America versus crypto. Yeah. So yeah, BOA is very stable. Like I don't think that is like it's not gonna go down like tomorrow. But let's say you buy a crypto for like $10 today, it can go to like 1 cent tomorrow. Like that's highly possible. So it just depends on like your risk level that you want to like take. And as I was mentioning before, on the crypto side, deal with money that you think you will be losing. Only then like deal with that. So of course, the stocks and like those public and private uh, banks are like much more stable than like crypto.
So thank you for answering that. Just to like a little comment on that. It looks like from my observation that people were so used to using stocks, it's like a 401k mindset or something to say, where you invest money with the only intention for it to grow. But on crypto, if you want to win on cryptocurrency right now, you have to dig deeper than that and actually look at the value that the chain provides and the people standing behind the chain if you really want to make this ROI and really, so you not only have to, so the money should not be the only, even though it's okay if it's the only goal, but you should really believe in this cryptocurrency or this chain or this NFT and believe that there is actual value to it, because this is the only way you can ensure, not, there is no such thing as an insure on crypto market, but be more relaxed when you invest into cryptocurrency and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you got it correct. And to your other point, like stocks or like mutual funds, like how we are like, hey, we just invest and we leave it, don't worry about it. There are pretty much same things happening on the crypto side where people are coming up with index funds where you just invest and like you leave, and like whoever is managing those funds will figure out like which project is good. Like they'll do the research and they'll invest your money, but you need to like essentially be trustworthy of those index funds. So I know like Fidelity has a Bitcoin index fund coming out, which would invest in like these cryptocurrencies, and I trust Fidelity. So I would pretty much, if I had some money without high risk, I would put it into that index fund rather than like trying to figure out like which cryptocurrency might like rise up like 100%, 200%, like in the next week. I would be a bit more secure and like less risk.
That's great. That's great. I also heard about I heard an ad about the company. I don't remember how it was called, but they were basically advertising their service, which was the individual retirement account, but with crypto.
Uh, Are you talking about Grayscale? Maybe that's one of the.
It was a long time ago. It was like 2 months
Okay.
ago. I don't remember the name.
Yeah. That's another holding, another fund where you can buy things for like your IRA kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's our time. Thank you so much, Sid, for coming today for our event. And my last question for you will be for today: if there are people who want to connect to you and who maybe have more questions and want to talk to you about stuff, or maybe collaborate with you on next projects, how can they contact you?
Yeah, they reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll just link my LinkedIn over here. Just let me know that you met me over here. And like send me like a note. Usually, like notes are like life saviors. That's how I essentially cold message everybody on LinkedIn. So like if you're connecting with anybody at any point, just like add a note that brings like a lot of value to your connection.
Okay, awesome. Even after the time is over, you're still bringing us value. That's how useful you are to us. That's how great speaker you are to us. Thank you so much for coming today.
For sure, yeah. Nice
Thank you
meeting you
so
guys.
much.
Yeah,
Thank
let me know
you.
if there's anything. Yep, for sure. See you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.